guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special Halloween video for you guys, as it's finally time to talk about Kringle Candles Halloween Collection Part 2. Yes, the much speculated and anticipated Part 2 of this Halloween collection was finally revealed this past week, and there are some wild design choices. Kringle is really showing out their creativity for these lines, and I am so excited to share the collection that they sent to me. So yes, before we get started here, I do want to mention that I am a Kringle Candle ambassador, which means if you use the code Wickeddullboy, you can save 15% off of your purchase over at Kringle Candle. Now, this is a commission code, so anytime that you use it, I do receive a small kickback from it. So if you do plan to use it or have used it in the past, thank you so much. It's always appreciated. So you might want to grab a snack and a drink now, because I have a feeling this one is going to be a long one. So part 2 of this launch is going to feature 12 brand new scents split between 2 collections. So first up, we have the Spellbound Collection. These fragrances will come in that standard country candle jar. They have these really cool witchy aesthetics. They're meant to look like witches' spell bottles. They have a really cool custom lid and beautiful labels that include a spell that goes along with the theme of the candle, which I think is a really cool Halloween witchy touch. And the craziest aspect about these candles is that they all each feature their own little gemstones or crystals that are embedded to the top of the wax that give the spell a sort of power, if you will. So the fragrances that will be available in this collection are Fortune's Beacon, which is a money spell, and that one includes a green aventurine stone. Guardian's Vigil, which is a protection spell that has amethyst inside. Limerence and Light, which is a love spell with rose quartz. Hexes on My Exes, which is a hex for your ex that has obsidian in it. Purifying Radiance, which is a purification spell that has quartz. And finally, Spirit's Call, which is a conjuring spell, which features labradorite as the embed. So embeds are actually a first for Kringle, which is really cool. They look so pretty, but for me, when I saw them, that obviously raises the questions of like, what are you supposed to do with them? And so Kringle has told us that they are meant to be taken out of the wax before you burn them. Although if you do burn the candle with the gemstones in them, it's perfectly fine. It should perform as normal. They just kind of sink into the bottom and you'll get them after the candle is done. So the second collection that is launching with the Spellbound candles are the Vintage Halloween Art Print Collection. So featured in this collection, we have Moody Witch with Broomstick, Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown, Ghosts Spirits, Skeleton in Victorian Costume, Witch Magic Spellbooks, and finally, Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. So these jars are absolutely gorgeous. They come with this like ombre painted jar. They have like a matte feel. They feel really good to touch. So Kringle actually did a cool thing with this collection in that they partnered with an artist for these labels here. I believe she is based out of London and has an Etsy shop under the Prince Bakery where you can buy like full scale versions of these artworks on the label. They're just really gorgeous and I'm just loving the style here. So Kringle's Halloween collection part 2 will be launching on August 16th at 12:01 a.m. midnight Eastern Standard Time, which is 9:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you're on the West Coast. So just like last time, if you participated in the part 1 of the Halloween launch, it will be that Thursday into Friday midnight, and these will all be retailing for $34 in price. And from what I heard, these are going to be a little bit more limited than the standard Kringle Black jars that were available in part 1. There will be a limit on them, but I do believe you can only get 2 of each fragrance for the launch, as opposed to part 1 where you could get 3 of each. So you guys know how we do it here. We are going to go ahead and get into my first sniff impressions of these candles, and then stick around till the end of the video to see my post-burn thoughts on them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my first sniff impressions. Hey guys, so let's go ahead and do my first sniff impressions. I want to apologize in advance if the lighting here is kind of weird. I'm kind of like trying to figure out what the perfect lighting is for my videos. And since I decided to film this one at like 7 o'clock at night, I'm already losing a bunch of sun. So I preemptively turned on all my lights. So it may get a little bit wonky here, but let's just go ahead and get into it. So up first here, let's go ahead and talk about Skeleton in Victorian Costume. So the fragrance notes on Skeleton in Victorian Costume are fougere, wood, floral, bergamot, vanilla, and amber. So this one's kind of reading to me in that cologne-esque sort of way, just based off of fragrance notes. That is what I'm expecting. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. Okay, yeah, a little bit cologne-esque. Ooh, that's actually really pretty. It's okay, so it is like cologne body care, but the really weird thing is it's also perfumey. It's a little bit like unisex. Ooh, that's really, really smooth, a little bit zesty. So it does smell body care-esque. You are getting a lot of that bergamot. You're getting a woodiness out of this one, but you're also getting a really nice, pretty, smooth amber and vanilla, and you're getting that floral too. So yeah, I'm really liking the direction that they took on this, because if you see on the label here, there is like a gentleman skeleton and there is a lady skeleton, and what it smells like is both of their respective body fragrances like mingling together. Like whatever party they're showing up to, they definitely hand-picked their body care fragrances to go along with each other, and when they walk into that room, it's like scene stopping. That is really gorgeous, and it does smell a little bit vintage. It smells like a very lived in fragrance, like it's been sitting around in a perfume bottle for like 80 years. So to my nose, not necessarily something that I would have thought of for Halloween. It doesn't smell very Halloween leaning, but I could see this as like a spooky ghost, old haunted house smelling, like, you know, when people relay their ghost stories, and a lot of people have very much a story where they're like, I didn't really see a ghost, but I smelled the presence of like an old-timey perfume or like an old cigar box or something that the ghost was very much known for like wearing or doing. It's definitely giving me that vibe. It's not scary, it's very calming. When you smell this, you know it's a nice ghost. For those of you out there who love a woody cologne fragrance or a bergamot cologne fragrance, or you love a vanilla amber perfume and you want a little bit of a masculine touch on that, then Skeleton in Victorian Costume is up your alley. All right, so up next here, let's talk about Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown. So the fragrance notes on Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown are matcha, rosewater, sweet, vanilla, and cream. I do want to say on these candles, as much as I'm loving the labels and the design of the jars themselves, I'm not really enjoying the names. Like Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown is a little bit of a mouthful, and it's been honestly very hard for me to like remember the name when I'm showing it to the camera. I'm like, what was that one again? I feel like there could have been a better like naming convention that they could have given these instead of just like describing what was on the label. But with this fragrance here, I am kind of surprised by how unspooky these fragrance notes are. Like rosewater, sweet, vanilla, cream. This sounds very much like it's going to be a very nice, sweet, almost dessert-like fragrance. Although matcha does have like an earthiness to it, so I can kind of see that for Halloween. So let's go ahead and try this one out. Okay, yeah, so it is like a sweet, like almost matcha vanilla dessert. It smells very fresh. That rosewater is very present. And it's funny, it's almost giving me like a rainwater type vibe. Very, very watery. That matcha note is very similar to the like black rose from the Valentine's Reserve launch earlier this year. They don't smell anything alike, but it is that, I feel like it is that same type of matcha note. And this one is also giving me another like old-timey type smell to it. It does smell very vintage. It's a really nice, smooth vanilla cream with a heavy dash of that rose water, all over a nice earthy base of that matcha. If you're a big fan of like vanilla rose or vanilla gourmand scents, and you want something that's a little bit more of a twist on that formula, then I think that you would enjoy this one. All right, so up next here, let's talk about Moody Witch with Broomstick. So the scent notes on Moody Witch with Broomstick are tuberose, sandalwood, patchouli, bergamot, tonka bean, and amber. So this one is another one to me that's very much reading as like very witchy perfume vibes. Surprising amount of floral fragrance notes popping up so far, which is an interesting direction for me to take these. So let's see what this one smells like. Yeah, that one is really interesting. It is reading as like old-timey type perfume. You are getting a really nice floral right off the top of this one. Definitely getting hits of that bergamot. The patchouli is giving it a little bit of earthiness, but it's kind of leaning more towards of like a perfumey patchouli. It's not overwhelmingly earthy, dirty. It smells very grounded here, which I'm really liking. So yeah, this one so far is the most perfumey to me. It's a little fancy old lady that's definitely practicing witchcraft. It is very bewitching. You are getting a hint of that sandalwood in there. There is a distinct like woody note in there, but the woody fragrance is not the star here. It's definitely those florals. Very, very pretty. I actually really enjoy the floral notes that are going on in here. So for all of the perfume lovers out there, then Moody Witch with a Broomstick is the one for you. Although it's not like necessarily the most spooky Halloween fragrance, it is a gorgeous scent. All right, next up, let's talk about Witch Magic Spellbooks. So the fragrance notes on Witch Magic Spellbooks are floral, aldehydes, cedar, herbal, musk, and patchouli. So from the fragrance notes, this one's reading the most Halloween to me. What it brings up to my mind is maybe like some sort of like old book or old potion ingredients. I'm very much looking forward to this one, so let's give it a smell. Okay, yeah. Whoa, wait. Oh, okay. So yeah, very, very witchy. Ooh, I actually really, really like that. The patchouli and cedar in here are so amazing. It is leaning more towards that dark, damp patchouli that is very much in a lot of Halloween fragrances. You're getting touches of those floral notes. These are the witch's books, but maybe she was just in the room and her perfume is still lingering a little bit. You are getting that musk out of this one. It is very musky. Oh, dude, this one, as soon as I opened this one up, and the reason why I'm absolutely loving this fragrance on cold, it's so giving me like Goose Creek's Witch's Cauldron vibes. That dark, earthy, damp patchouli that was in Goose Creek's Witch's Cauldron is in this candle, but this one is a little bit more feminine than that one. The floral note is really punched up, and you are getting some sort of like old musty air out of this one as well. It feels like you just walked into like a witch's hut. That door has been sealed forever. There's dried patchouli. The house is made out of old dried cedar wood. There's a table in the middle of the room with like dead wilted flowers, and there's a nice layer of dust on all of it. Ooh, I absolutely love this one on cold. Now, I will say, after smelling all of the other ones, this one is definitely the lightest on cold, which I am a little bit afraid of. I'm hoping that we can get a good performance out of this one because I'm loving this fragrance. For those of you out there who love a dark, damp patchouli with just a hint of floral, then this is the fragrance you're going to want to gravitate towards. Oh, I'm really hoping that this one performs well, but we will see in the post burns. All right, so up next here, we have the one that is my absolute favorite label of this collection. It is so whimsical. It's got ghosts, it's got pumpkins. It's my absolute favorite, and it is Ghosts Spirits. So the fragrance notes on Ghosts Spirits are floral, ozone, dewy greens, powder, musk, and wood. So with this label here, the fragrance notes aren't really what I would have expected, but everything in those fragrance notes appeal to me personally. Floral, ozone, dewy greens, everything I love about a spring fragrance. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to do in this Halloween packaging. So let's give it a shot here. Whoa, okay. Very fresh. You are getting a lot of that floral on top. It's a nice powdery floral. It doesn't go anywhere near as powdery as like Coven from the returning fragrances this year, but there is a definite powder in there. So if you don't like a powdery floral, this one's not for you. You are getting kind of a like fresh air type vibe in there and a definite wetness from that dewy green note. This one feels like really whimsical to me. It smells very bright and playful and fun. Like these ghosts on here are definitely very joyous. They're happy to be frolicking among the pumpkins. I'm not getting a lot of the woodiness out of this one on cold. It's more so that heavy floral mixed in with a little bit of greenery. There's a nice fresh air and a little bit of wetness in there. It's definitely a cold, cloudy, overcast day. It maybe just rained over like a field of flowers. This one is really, really pretty. Now, once again, for Halloween specifically, I don't think it's the most spooky fragrance out there. It doesn't evoke Halloween to me. It doesn't necessarily smell like a bright, blooming spring floral. There's like a dreariness to this. Definitely gloomy, but also like playful and fun. I really like this one. So yeah, overall, not the spookiest fragrance out there. If you love a dewy, powdery floral, you'll absolutely love this one. These have been very complex and conceptual so far. They are very much leaning into the vintage aesthetic of these labels, and I really appreciate that about these so far. All right, and last but not least here, we have Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. So the fragrance notes for a Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin are black cinnamon, cassia, clove, sweet cream accord, white pumpkin, nutmeg, vanilla, musk, tonka, and black sugar. I absolutely adore this label on there with the black cat. It is so cute. It is so Halloweeny, and the scent notes match. This one's definitely reading the most autumnal. So let's see what it has in store. That is so beautiful. Ooh, that's a really nice, sweet pumpkin spice. Oh, gourmand lovers who love pumpkin spice, you're gonna adore this. So yeah, it's very heavy on the cinnamon, that clove. Those pumpkin spices are coming through real strong on there. And then you're getting hit with a heavy punch of that white pumpkin. It's not like a buttery type pumpkin. It's definitely that more bold, zesty white pumpkin. Is there ginger in this? I almost get like a little bit of a ginger type thing going on, but it's not in the scent notes. And then you're getting that sweet cream accord as well. It's a very nice, smooth, sweet vanilla sweet cream. This one's also very fun and playful and sweet. Very nice for a fun Halloween fragrance. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving this on cold. It's absolutely delicious. It's literally just fall in a jar. So yeah, for all of the pumpkin spice lovers out there, Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin is definitely the fragrance for you. So some post first sniff impression thoughts here. I really love the concept of this collection. The vintage labels along with the ombre jars is just perfect to me from a design standpoint. They're just gorgeous to look at. Scent-wise, they are very interesting choices here. They definitely play to what the labels evoke, although that does come at a cost of smelling less Halloween centric. So for the absolute fans of Halloween out there who want like a spooky scent, none of these really lean that heavy into the spooky, scary side of things. So I'm very interested to see how everything will come together once I give all of them a considerable burn. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and jump into my post-burn thoughts. And we're back. So it is now a week later. I have had plenty of time to sit and burn these candles and really formulate my thoughts on them. I've given at least 2 burns to each of the candles for multiple hours each. So let's go ahead and jump back in here with Moody Witch with a broomstick. So yeah, this one is definitely still the most perfumey of the bunch to me, hands down. It is really pretty, but it's not spooky and it's not Halloweeny in the slightest sense. So on burn and on cold, you get a lot of the floral in here, and I believe that is the tuberose is the only floral note in here, so I'm assuming that's what it is. It is very strong, very present, very potent. I'm not too familiar with tuberose, but to me in this candle, it almost takes on this like grassy like quality. Like even smelling this right now, it almost smells like a fresh cut grass in a way. And on burn, it does read as like old timey vintage perfume. But yeah, a majority of this candle is that tuberose, and then you get a little bit of that zestiness from a citrus in there, which is coming from that bergamot. But to me, it almost smells like it's like a lime, like a fresh squeezed lime. It's got that zesty bitterness in there. And on burn, that patchouli does come through just a bit. It gives it like a slight earthiness, but is definitely more of that light perfumey patchouli. So if you're looking for like a witch's brew type patchouli, this is not the one. So let's go ahead and talk about performance here. The strength and throw on this one was not that great. It settled around a 5 out of 10 for me, strength and throw wise. It was present in the room while I was burning it. I had really no trouble smelling it, but it didn't travel much further beyond my room. And even while I was in the room, it definitely smelled like it was on the weaker side as opposed to super strong just in one room. So yeah, overall on this fragrance, I do think that it is a really pretty floral. I am someone who loves floral scents. This one isn't necessarily blowing me away. It's not like my favorite floral candle of all time, but I do enjoy it as a scent. However, I feel like this would be better suited for springtime. So I think what I'm going to be doing with this one is burning it for like halfway to Halloween. So yeah, overall, I think it's really pretty, but I do think it's just a little bit out of place. All right, up next here, let's go ahead and talk about Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown. So I really like the direction that they took on this candle. The rosewater and the sweet cream give it a nice, calming, inviting, pleasant smell. But then that matcha comes in and gives it this almost bitter, sour-like quality that changes the vibe from enticing to uneasy, which is so fitting for like the creepy clown label. I don't know if I mentioned it in my first sniffs, but like this label is so freaky looking. I know everybody didn't like that dreadful dolly label that they said that the doll was too creepy for them. This one is the one that gives me chills. Like I hate looking at him. He's so scary looking. And that direction of the fragrance matching this so well is so cool because clowns by design are meant to look fun and happy and be enticing, but they always have this like scary aura about them that makes you feel uneasy. So on burn, I am actually liking this one quite a bit. It's sweet and mysterious. It's very interesting. That matcha and the rosewater are the most prominent on burn for me. The matcha note in this one was definitely reminding me of the Midnight Rose from the Reserve line. It's got this really bitter, almost sour-like quality to it, and it almost smells like there is like an orange or like tangerine in there too. I know it's not listed on the scent notes, but it does have almost like a citrusy like quality to it. But that sweet vanilla and cream come in to really smooth it out and make it a little bit more pleasant. You can still smell the bitterness in there, but it would be way more harsh if it did not have that vanilla. And speaking of the sweet note, this one was getting a little bit too sweet for me on burn at points. Like I do like it as a scent. It does smell very nice, but I would only be able to burn this one for like a couple of hours before I personally started being like, that's a little bit too, it's giving me like cavities. So if you like an intensely sweet candle, then this one has all the sweetness you want. So let's go ahead and talk about performance here. So this one is one that I did not trim the wicks on, so I can show you, but all of these candles are producing pretty wicked mushroom tops on there. That was pretty consistent among all 6 of these, but I thought I would mention it here because I just saw that I did not trim these ones. So the strength on this one was not too strong. To me, it settled around a 6.5, almost 7 7 in strength. It was very, very prominent in my room. No trouble smelling it at all. And as previously mentioned, it was strong enough to where it was getting a little bit too sweet. And it was a pretty decent thrower as well. I could definitely smell this one traveling outside of my room and into the hall. And also, while I did experience some mushrooming on the wicks on this one, I did not notice any sooting from the wicks. Now, obviously, that could change the longer you're burning it, or if you don't trim your wicks on these. But out of the few times that I burned it, I did not experience any soot. So yeah, overall on Whimsical Quirky Balloon Clown, it is a really pleasant scent. I am liking it. It does get a little bit too sweet for me. And while it doesn't necessarily smell Halloween to me, it does smell like old and vintage. And I think that the scent matches the label quite a bit. That matcha giving this one kind of that uneasy factor helps make the case for the Halloweeniness. So I could see the argument for both sides. All right, let's go ahead and talk about ghost spirits. Do you want to talk about ghost spirits? So this one is so pretty. It's got that really soft, powdery floral. It smells a little wet or dewy from those dewy greens. You get that nice fresh air feel from the ozone. This one feels so like melancholic, dreary, gloomy, but there's also like a bright pop that makes it fun and whimsical to me. This one would be perfect for rainy days. On burn, you're getting a lot of those florals, touches of those dewy greens, and then you're also getting touches of those woody notes. There is like a woody earthiness to this one. It was almost a little bit reminiscent of like a patchouli earthiness, but not as intense as patchouli. And funnily enough, this one kind of gives me like incense vibes, kind of in the way that like Coven does, although Coven is very powdery and intense floral, and this one is powdery floral as well, but it's a lot softer and brighter. And I also kind of get like a slight soapiness out of this one too. Like it smells like a really fancy soap. So I feel like it would be good for a bathroom scent. It just has this really calming, relaxing, refreshing aura to it. And I really, really love this scent. So let's go ahead and talk about performance here. Unfortunately, this one was not the strongest of the bunch. It did settle into around a 6 out of 10 strength for me, meaning it was very present in the room that I was burning it. I could definitely smell it, but even in that scent, it was soft. And then for the throw, it was one of those candles that was kind of confined to the space that it was burning in. It didn't really travel too much out of my room or into the hallway. So I would say it settled in around a 5 out of 10 throw for me. So this fragrance, when I first smelled it, I did really enjoy it, but it did not read as like Halloween centric to me. And it's not necessarily, I could see myself burning this on rainy spring days for sure. Like if you handed me this candle without the packaging here, I would not have said Halloween. But the more that I sit with this one and the more that I burn it, the more that I buy into that aspect of like the incense type quality and it holding this like dreary moodiness, the more I see this one leaning into the Halloween side of things. It's a very fun, calming, relaxing Halloween scent. It's not your dark, spooky, scary scent that's going to drive other people out of your home. And I actually really like that about it, mixed with this label here that is just so fun and whimsical and playful. So I'm overall really enjoying this one. So up next here, let's go ahead and talk about skeleton in Victorian costume. I am so surprised by how much I actually really like this one, because it is such a strong cologne-y body care fragrance, but the blend is just so beautiful. On burn, the woody notes and the bergamot are the most present. That wood gives it the strong masculine energy, and the bergamot comes in to give it a strong brightness. But then that vanilla and that amber come in and just smooth it out and make it this calming, relaxing, sophisticated fragrance, and I'm really loving it. This is an amazing bedroom scent for sure. It'll make it smell very nice and fresh, but also give it a calmed, relaxed aura. So while I was burning this one, this was actually reminding me pretty heavily of It's Alive from the Halloween collection last year. The way that the wood and fougere play in this fragrance smells very reminiscent of It's Alive. It's not exactly the same, so if you're looking for a dupe, you're not gonna find it here, but they both have that same woody cologne vibe, although It's Alive is a bit more green and earthy, and this one is a lot more bright, but they do fill similar roles to me. They are definitely a part of the same scent family. Not a ton of that floral came through on burn for me. It is in there, but it's definitely hanging out in the background. I wouldn't call this a floral first fragrance. It's a little bit more woody to me. So let's go ahead and talk about the performance on this one. It was a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me for both the strength and throw. This thing was definitely filling my room up. It was very strong while it was burning throughout to my hallway. I could smell it a few feet from the door to my bedroom, and it was as strong in the hallway as it was in the room that I was burning it. So overall, I really like this one. I am very surprised by how much I enjoy it. I wish this was an actual body care fragrance so I could wear it. It's such a nice unisex scent. So as for it being a Halloween centric candle, it's not a spooky fragrance at all. It's way more pleasant than that. But once again, it does fit the vintage aesthetic of the label. And I really like that it is a mix between that masculine and feminine fragrance that match the skeleton figures on the front. So if you're looking for a spooky Halloween fragrance, you're not gonna really find it in this one. But if you love a nice sophisticated body care fragrance, then skeleton in Victorian costume is the one you're gonna wanna go for. All right, so second to last here, let's talk about Witch Magic Spellbooks. I really, really love this fragrance. It's so pretty and perfumey, but also like grounded by the earthiness that's in there. It is a very musky fragrance. It smells very much like a witch just got ready to go out on Halloween night in her dusty hut. The perfume that she's wearing is very strong and it's lingering in there, mixing in with that dust and cedarwood, and the scent of patchouli is wafting around from a spell that she just brewed. It's very bewitching and earthy. So like I said in my first sniff impressions of this candle, it definitely gives me Witch's Cauldron from Goose Creek vibes. However, I also want to say that Goose Creek's Witch's Cauldron is extremely earthy and dirty and musky, and this fragrance is definitely not that. This fragrance is a lot more perfumey. You're getting that floral first and foremost, but underneath it, the way that the musk in patchouli interacts in this one, that's firing off that receptor that's telling me Goose Creek's Witch's Cauldron. So if you're looking for something that's intensely earthy, dirty, spooky, it's not this one. It's much more feminine perfume first, and then a little bit of that earthy dirtiness underneath it all. So let's go ahead and talk about the performance on this one. Unfortunately, this one was very light for me. On my first burn, it was around a 4 strength, 4 throw. I could smell this one in my room for sure when I lit it up. However, it did smell very faint. On my second and third burns of this fragrance, it did get a little bit stronger, so it finally settled to around that 5 out of 10 strength level for me. As far as throw goes, it didn't really throw very much either. It never really left my room. So overall on this candle, I absolutely am loving this fragrance. The way that the perfumey elements interact with the earthy elements gives it such a nice, enticing, old feel to it that I really love, but it is unfortunately pretty light on burn. All right, last but certainly not least here, let's talk about Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. This scent is so good. After burning all of the fragrances, this one ended up being my absolute favorite. You get that really nice spicy white pumpkin, and then that sweet vanilla cream comes in to smooth it all out. It's so addicting. This is like a pumpkin spice lover's dream. This one almost has like an iced pumpkin gingerbread type vibe to it. It is very spicy in the way that a gingerbread is. It's a very much a pumpkin gourmand that is so nice and cozy and warm and gives you all of the fall vibes. It is perfectly balanced between the spice and the sweet. And that white pumpkin really adds a ton to this fragrance. It makes it so much more interesting than if it were just your classic classic orange buttery pumpkin. So let's go ahead and talk about performance. So fortunately, this one was actually fairly strong. Another nice 7 out of 10. Very strong and present in the room. Had no trouble smelling it at all. And it was a good thrower in my experience as well. I could definitely smell it throwing all the way out into the hallway. However, I do want to mention a weird thing that happened to me with this candle. When I went to go burn this candle for the very first time, the unburned wicks immediately started sooting, and I have genuinely never seen that from a candle before. I did manage to get a video of it here because it surprised me so much. Now, keep in mind, these were literally brand new wicks before I lit this one up, so I'm not exactly sure what was causing it to soot like that. And the wicks on this candle also were the one that had the most egregious mushroom tops. I'll include some pictures of that as well. The mushroom tops were pretty big on this one. None of the other ones that I burned ever really produced any scent. They did have a little bit of the mushroom tops on the wicks, but I didn't catch any soot from them. This candle I did for sure, but only really on my first burn. I have given this one 3 or 4 burns, and after I trimmed the wicks on the first burn, from there it was pretty much smooth sailing, but I did continue to see those very large mushroom tops. So keep that in mind if you're planning on picking this fragrance up, that you do need to watch the wicks a little bit. So yeah, kind of a strange experience. However, I really like this fragrance, so I don't mind babying it a little bit. So overall, the scent is absolutely amazing. Very much a fall Halloween candle, so it fits very well with the label and packaging in this line. The only downside is those wonky wicks that it seems to have, at least in my experience. But aside from that, if you love pumpkin spice, if you love a good fall gourmand, then Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin is the one for you. It's definitely my top recommendation out of the 6 here. So that is all I have for you guys today. So overall thoughts on the art print collection. I really loved the labels and the jars themselves. The fragrances here are a little bit hit or miss for me. Not a lot of them smell the most distinctly Halloween to my nose, but I do think across the board, they are very nice, well-crafted scents. I don't dislike any of them. It's just that some of them don't necessarily align in my mind with Halloween fragrance. So if you're looking for a specific Halloween fragrance, then part 1 of the launch is going to appeal a lot more to you. But if you're not a Halloween fan or someone who likes a more bright and fun Halloween fragrance, then I think that these are going to be perfect for you. I'm also really looking forward to the Spellbound Collection. It looks like a few of those have some specific Halloween scents, specifically Spirit's Call. I am so very excited for that fragrance. Definitely going to be picking that one up, but let me know what you guys are excited for and what you guys think of both of these collections. Once again, these fragrances launch on Friday, August 16th at 12:01 a.m. midnight Eastern Standard Time, which is 9:01 p.m. Thursday, August 15th. If you're on the West Coast, and you can save 15% off of your order with the code Wickeddullboy. Remember to leave a like if you guys enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more Halloween content, because you know I have more on the way very soon. Until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye.